what do you do when your child and their teacher just don't click?
Yeah, every student, we know this, brings their own personality, their own unique personality. Every adult does too. So when those personalities collide, how can we as parents support, right, without jumping to conclusions or minimizing their concerns?
Educational consultant Michelle Loveday says these moments can actually become powerful growth opportunities for everyone involved. All right, Michelle, we know that as parents, we know our kids best, right? But you're saying that we should look at teachers as humans as well. Why is that perspective so important?
I think it's important because while teachers are super powered and have such great skill, they're not superhuman and have personalities as well. And with 25, 30 students in a classroom for the elementary levels and then more at the higher levels, they're interacting with many different personalities and they have their own likes, dislikes, and patience levels as well. So I think teachers have to be regarded with saying, okay, I know my child, I know what buttons they push when they're at home, now throw them in the mix with 25 other kids that have buttons that can be pushed, and what do we expect our teachers to do?
Yeah. Good context to see both sides. And knowing these conflicts will happen because of all of the reasons you just described and all of the personalities at play, I love this first nudge that you're giving us as parents, which is to move beyond just complaining about it.
Yes. I think it's really easy to be like, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing, or he's just so strict on his grading, and go to asking questions. What is really happening in the classroom? What is frustrating the child and putting them in the position that they're frustrated with the teacher? And what's really happening? Is it a safety issue or is it truly a personality issue? So asking your child questions is important.
So you're saying a unified approach, that is the goal. Why is it important to have, you know, the student and teacher on the same page and with parents, and what does that look like in real life?
It sets our children up for success in the real world. There's not choices that we get sometimes when we're working with people in a building or a space, and we have to really figure out how to work with them. And so it provides the child an opportunity for you to really see problem solving in real time and reaching out to the teacher, meeting them for that first time at parent-teacher conferences, and even asking or putting down different things. My child learns best when, my child is happiest when, and providing that to the teacher. I've seen some parents do some great things of, hi, we can't wait to have you in our classroom with our child, and this is what my child has, specifically if there's ADHD or any types of learning accommodations, to set the teacher up for understanding what's happening and not needing them to figure it out in real time with your student. Like, have them ahead of time say, you know, they're tricky and they have some aversions here or there. Light kind of gives them migraines, just anything that you think the teacher would need to know about your kid.
It's such an interesting requirement, I think, of parents, because you do really have to strike this balance. You know, you can automatically say, well, they're the adults, so they must be in the right. But you also acknowledge that we don't want to minimize our children's concerns at the same time.
Yes, listen to your child. If there's worries, you want your child to wake up, and just like you want to go to work and have, you know, a great experience, there are some stresses, but you want to listen to your child so that they have an exciting learning experience. So listen to them, ask questions, and I even suggest every once in a while, if you can, go into the classroom and observe what's really happening.
Is that appropriate?
It's absolutely appropriate and welcomed. I know some teachers have certain, you know, stressors as well. Again, they're human, and being parents, they didn't sign up to teach parents, so they might be a little nervous and be like, oh, nobody can be in my classroom. But it's legal, especially in the public school system. You're allowed to observe. You set up the appointment. You can go in and help during small groups or even in the class party.
The hands-on help might be maybe the most beneficial, because you're not going to get your child's actual behavior when you're in the room.
Exactly.
I mean, or maybe the teachers, for that matter.
And they might act a little bit better, but then you might be able to see, oh, there's 4 other characters that I could see tipping my child off, and the 5 of them together are really creating an issue for my teacher. And so then you work out a plan with your student. Hey, I noticed that if you're going to have a hard time at math, this is when you really get tired. Let's put a plan of action. And if your teacher says, do that right now, and that irritates you, what can you say or do instead of being, stop doing that to the teacher and being disrespectful? So putting a plan of action in with your student and your child together will help, and I think it really helps them realize not everybody's going to be as warm and fuzzy as Mrs. Jones. They have, you know, Mr. K this year, and so how can they work with what Mr. K has and understand where he's coming from?
And that really kind of goes along with, you know, putting yourself in the teacher's shoes and just not being so, you know, eager to jump to conclusions.
Yes.
Like having their perspective in mind.
Yes, I always am the consummate advocate for our teachers. They're the utmost professional. They're not perfect, and we are going to have a few that are not going to be, you know, up and coming in what they need to do. But for the most part, they are studying and figuring out how to have all these learning styles and personalities in one room and be the best teacher they can. So let's come to them and give them that, you know, attitude as well with everybody involved.
Let's show up how we want to be treated, essentially.
Exactly.
And I love that you've thrown the word questions in there a lot. Asking questions seems to be always a good place to start. Michelle, thank you, as always, for your perspective.
Thank you for having me.